Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Good morning, everyone. Let me make sure that my sound is on. I always worry about that now. It is. I haven't been muted in so long. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to J is for Justice. It was a late night here last night. If you joined in the stream last night, we watched the presidential debate, the GOP presidential debate. You know, I'm not on one side or the other, so it wasn't a, pick this, pick that apart. It was we don't trust any of them. So let's see what we have to deal with. So we did have a good time watching that, and it seems like a lot of us were on the same page anyways. So it turned out great. We have Summer Lou on Doggy Cam this morning. She is front and center for you guys. And Emmy is in here somewhere. Come here, Emmy. She was here. She was snuggling with me. I almost did not even get up off of the couch. I got to show you guys this picture. She hugs me. This cat is, if you guys don't know, if you're newer here, last year after the hurricane, this cat showed up at my house, right? And she's become like my best friend. Sounds so weird, but she hugs me. Watch this. Guys, I got to show you this. And then we're going to get into Bryan Kohberger's hearing, which isn't that long. It's like 25 minutes long. So, hi, Black Eagle. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Always good to see some OGs around here. All right, guys, here it is. Oh, ignore me because, I just woke up, but this cat is really something else. Here, I'm going to cut my face here. Look at how she hugs me. So if any of you want to give Emmy a little something for the background here, I call her Mama. Because she was the mama when we found her, but she's so grateful and thankful. She's like this all the time. And if you guys want to get her something off the Amazon wish list that I could put right there where those shoe boxes are, it's a little banana that she can lay in while I'm live. So if anybody wants to check out the wish list, that is on there. Michelle Farrow, first time checking out a live. Thank you so much for being here. Black Eagle, timeout. That's okay. I got blocked on Ziggy's stream the other night. Blocked. All my comments were deleted. She bashed me in her stream and said I was there for views. I was like, what? Dude, that chick, I gave her so much credit. I was so kind to her. And she blew it. So we're going to be touching on Fred Hill very soon on this channel. So with that being said, should we go over to our boob tube? A banana hammock. It's so cute. Check it out, Flo. It's so cute. Marie, hello. Listen, Linda. All right, let's get over to our boob tube. All right, here we are. Okay, so I put this together for you guys really early this morning, and then I went back to bed. So let's pull it up here. I even put a little intro on it because that's how I roll. Let's get this pulled up. And then we will discuss afterwards. I'll take some of your calls, even if you guys want to call in and tell me what you think about him waiving his speedy trial. Because I have a lot of feelings on this, mainly about the victims' families. I think Bryan Kohberger is just a cruel, cruel person. But let's watch. All right. I'm going to make sure I can get the audio. Their audio is even probably worse than it was the last time. I tried to fix it. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Oh, and like this video right now. Right meow. Like this video.
Absolutely.
He makes me so mad. Oh, he is a little prick. We got a little view of the courtroom there. I kind of zoomed in on that for y'all. Let's get some gain. Let's try this. Let me know how you guys can hear it when they start talking, okay? Hold on, I've got to answer this call. I can't hear anything. How about you guys? Okay, they haven't started talking yet, I guess. I guess they haven't started talking. It's the court reporter, guys. I know. Clickety click. Hey, heathen. Click, click that darn internet, man. That click, 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 click.
Sorry.
I can't with him leaning back in his chair either. Oh, whoops.
Everybody does.
Everybody does that. It's okay.
Hi, Mr. Officer. Oh, that must be the bailiff that chewed him out the other day. I bet you that's him.
If you mess up, the judge will let us all.
What did he say? If you mess up, what? This is the bailiff that's keeping an eye on the camera guy. Watch. Look at Thomas.
Oh, there's more over there than before. That's fine. I'm not worried, okay? So if you mess up, the judge will let us all.
The judge will something. I don't know what he said. If you mess up, the judge will something. Sushi. Sushi says it's never too early for animals. mess up and it's back to old law and crime. You got to talk to Mr. Dan Abrams.
All right.
Who's Vargy?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Well, let me turn on captions. I got captions at the top for y'all.
Record, please. Thank you. We are now on the record. This is State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger, case number CR 29-232805. Mr. Kohberger is in the courtroom. Ms. Taylor is representing him. Looks like Mr. Logston is
Mr. Lobster?
on Zoom, as is Ms. Bassett.
Mr. Logston is on Zoom.
And we
Mr.
have
Lobster.
Mr. Thompson and Ms. Jennings in the courtroom representing the state. Participating on Zoom is Ms. Beatty and Mr. Nye. Also representing the state, I've got Ms. Engler is the court reporter. She's participating on Zoom.
And who's typing? The court reporter's on Zoom. Can we just hear her?
Everybody that I have
Maybe she needs to mute.
address here. So the
Lucia,
defense,
that's the clock.
Ms. Taylor requests a status conference for today. So here we are. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, we asked for this status conference today because I have had some opportunity to meet with Mr. Kohberger and talk about his trial date and his speedy trial right. Your Honor, we're here today to ask the court to continue the trial setting, and Mr. Kohberger is prepared to waive his right to a speedy trial. Your Honor, there are a couple of things that I need to place on the record. One can come after the court takes his waiver, but one I think ought to come before the court takes his waiver. Your Honor, as the court knows, we will file a number of motions to strike the death penalty in Idaho's Speedy Trial Commission. Because we're here today to waive speedy and ask the court to continue, I think the court and counsel ought to know that one of the motions that we will be filing is a motion to strike the death penalty because it places Mr. Kohberger in a position where he has to choose between two rights. One, that being the right of the speedy trial, or the other right to effective assistance of counsel. I didn't want that to come filed later and have it be any surprise that I knew it was coming, it will be coming, that motion will be coming. And for us to stand up and request a continuance and waive speedy today. The rest can be placed on the record after the court's questions.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Well, you heard all that, Mr. Kohberger? Yes?
Yes.
And is that the case that you want to waive your speedy trial rights?
Yes.
Do you understand that those rights are statutory in Idaho, also protected by the United States Constitution and the Idaho Constitution?
Yes.
You understand that if you waive, you're waiving really forever in this case. So if we were to push this out, this case, and then something else happens that allows us or requires us to push it out a little farther, you can't claim your right to a speedy trial at that point. You understand that?
Yes.
So have you had enough time to discuss this with Ms. Taylor?
I have.
Has anybody pressured you to waive your speedy trial rights?
No.
Wait for it.
You sure you want to do this?
Absolutely.
Okay. You agree with this, Ms. Taylor?
Your Honor, I do agree with this. I do not believe counsel can be effective by October 2nd, the entire case, if we should end up in a part 2 of this trial.
So she said that she said that they cannot be ready by October the 2nd. So I guess, we should appreciate her not being an a-hole and waiting until the last minute to bring this up, because she does say, if you can hear her, I don't know if you guys can hear her well, but she does say that she knew this was coming.
Our investigation is not complete. Our work with experts is not complete. We haven't completed our review of the state's evidence. I do not believe that we can be effective.
She doesn't think they can be effective by then.
Is Mr. Kohberger willing today to write, to sign his name and you to sign your name on a waiver of speedy trial?
Your Honor, I can tell you that I did not prepare Mr. Kohberger for that, and that would be because I am not familiar with this court's practice. I expected we would waive in open court today, and that would be sufficient. I'm happy to take a look at the proposals to look at.
Well, I wasn't really anticipating this, but just in case, and hypothetically, I grabbed a Odyssey form, which...
Okay, so the judge says, I wasn't really anticipating this, but just in case I grabbed this Odyssey form for the waiver of the speedy trial.
I don't really favor those forms, but...
And he doesn't favor them.
Pull that out, and maybe just give this to you and Mr. Kohberger, and we can take a look at it. My practice is always to get a written signature of waiver in any waiver of speedy trial. So, let me go to, and I haven't taken his waiver yet. I'm going to notice that. Let that settle for a second. Mr. Thompson, do you have any objections?
No, Your Honor. I think everybody would like to have this resolved sooner than later, but I think the case is of such great importance and complexity that this is a smart move.
Thank you.
No objections from Thomas.
I do agree with that. I mean, we have so many things going on. There's a lot of issues left to resolve. And as you know, I mean, you probably could understand that. And you were all thinking this, that it's going to be very difficult to put everything together that needs to be put together before October 2nd. This is a very significant, complicated case for all the lawyers, and particularly for Mr. Kohberger. So I understand you want to be fully prepared for the trial and what happens also presents. So, and likewise for the state. Likewise for the court. I mean, I was willing to do that, but you don't want to be out there. I mean, any of these issues, because they're all important. So, I don't know, did you take a look at that form?
Maybe back just a moment.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you. So, Mr. Kohberger, did you read this over?
Yes.
Okay. What I'm talking about is the written waiver of speedy trial.
Yes.
Did you understand the terms here,
Yes.
which we've already talked about?
Yes.
And you agree with the signing of the form waiver of speedy trial, Ms. Taylor?
I do not.
Okay, so Mr. Kohberger, do you want me to accept your waiver?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and you understand that if I accept your waiver, you're giving up your constitutional right under the United States Constitution and the Idaho Constitution on a constitutional right of speedy trial?
I understand.
Do you understand that if I accept your waiver, you're also giving up your Idaho statutory right to a speedy trial?
Yes.
That is within 6 months of your waiver.
Yes.
Do you agree with the tender of the waiver, Ms. Taylor?
I do not.
Kohberger, do you want me to accept the waiver?
I do.
Based on our discussion, your waiver of these rights expressly in court and also in signing this waiver of speedy trial. Also, you are tendering these waivers on advice of counsel. I will accept your waiver of speedy trial. I find that your waivers are knowing, intelligent, voluntary, and there's actually good cause to recognize that. Given what I heard from your counsel, Thompson, and my clients. So, with that, we can talk about resetting this trial. I'm prepared to do that today. Sarah?
Your Honor, I would say that we are not prepared to choose the trial date today. And that brings me to kind of the second part of what I wanted to talk to the court and counsel about today. We currently have September 1st as the date for the motion to dismiss the grand jury indictment. Our deadline to file our challenges will be today, and we're prepared to file those today. Our hope is that that particular hearing date, we'd like to keep it, both challenge the grand jury indictment, and also there are 2 additional motions that we're going to be filing, and we're hoping that we can have those heard. After that time, after we've heard the motions, we'd be in a position to meet with the state if they desire and talk about a reasonable trial setting. My preference would be to have us discuss that and reset the trial one time and not do this a number of times and worry about getting subpoenas out and worry about it. That would be my request. The other deadlines that are in place right now on the court's scheduling order, I think those would be appropriate for us to talk about and the state and the defense and perhaps suggest for the court to order a different scheduling order than the one that exists. We just simply want to keep the grand jury indictment challenge date because that's soon, and having the court's decision on that will largely impact what comes next. If the court will allow, I'd like to briefly address the other 2 motions that are pending and have not been filed today.
Sure.
Okay. Your Honor, we will be filing a motion that has to do with media in the courtroom, particularly the cameras in the courtroom. And that motion should be filed by the end of the day or first thing tomorrow. That comes from some things that happened last week. The other motion, Your Honor, has to do with what happened.
The last thing she just said, you guys, is what happens to the witnesses that might be called. It's really hard to hear her. I'm sorry. I tried to make it as best I could. I'm going to rewind just a few seconds.
The other motion, Your Honor, has to do with what happens to witnesses that the defense might be called. The court will recall that Gabriela Vargas testified last Friday in our hearing. Last night, she was visited by 2 FBI agents and interrogated about her testimony, the timing of her declaration. That, in our view, impacts Mr.
Wait.
Kohberger.
What? They said the genetic genealogist. That's okay.
Impacts Mr. Kohberger's due process rights and rights to effective assistance of counsel, and that motion will also be filed later today in person.
Any objection to hearing the motion along with these two more motions to be heard on September 1, Mr. Johnson?
I don't believe so, Your Honor, having not seen exactly what the motions are, but understanding they're fairly straightforward. I would think that we could do that. If we look at the motions, we have an issue with race support Ms. Taylor. I will, for the record, since Ms. Taylor has brought up the situation, Ms. Vargas, give court and counsel background. Over the weekend, Ms. Vargas, after she testified, engaged in some electronic communications with others in the genetic genealogy field. Those indicated, as it was reported to the investigators, to our investigators, that she was reading on some of the things that she testified to in court.
Okay, so they just opened up the audio for some reason. I'm sorry, I had a phone call, you guys. But why in the hell was this Vargas lady? Why did the FBI approach her home and interrogate her? What? She wanted to retract something. Why did that make the FBI go to her house? What is going on? Why would they go to her house for that? And interrogate her? She switched sides, Ozzy? Are you serious? What am I missing? I can't hear this. OMG.
Called Gabriela Vargas testified last Friday in our hearing. Last night, she was visited by two FBI agents and interrogated about her testimony at the timing of her declaration. That, in our view, impacts Mr. Kohberger's due process rights and his rights to effective assistance of counsel, and that motion will also be filed later today in person.
Any objection to hearing the motion along with these two more motions to be heard on September 1?
Yes,
Okay.
after she was
I
on
don't
the
think-
stand, you guys. I got to hear that again. I'm sorry. This is quite shocking. So, why on earth would the FBI visit her about this case? What?
Her motion, Your Honor, has to do
She says that she was visited. She was on the stand on that Friday. And I think she said 2 days ago. Let's listen.
with what happens to witnesses that the defense might call. The court will recall Gabriela Vargas testified last Friday in our hearing. Last night, she was visited by two FBI agents and interrogated about her testimony at the timing of her declaration. That, in our view, impacts Mr. Kohberger's due process rights and his rights to effective assistance of counsel, and that motion will also be filed later today in person.
Any objection to hearing the motion along with these two more motions to be heard on September 1, Mr. Johnson?
I don't believe so, Your Honor, having not seen exactly what the motions are, but understanding they're fairly straightforward. I would think that we could do that. If we look at the motions, we have an issue with race support Ms. Taylor. I will, for the record, since Ms. Taylor has brought up the situation, Ms. Vargas, give court and counsel background. Over the weekend, Ms. Vargas, after she testified, engaged in some electronic communications with others in the genetic genealogy field.
They found her post. That's why Miss Vargas got busted. Potato found her post. She's posting on social media about this case. Potato found it. She was talking about this case. And Thompson just said they found electronic communications of her in the genetic genealogy community having communications. And I'm telling you, but why would the FBI interrogate her about that? Because she's saying, I'll tell you why. I think because she testified that they do shit illegal. She put the seed out there that the FBI uses these family trees illegally, and they went there to talk to her about it. I don't think this is witness intimidation at all. I think this is, hey, lady, you're a freaking weirdo, and you're on social media talking about this case with other people in the genetic community. Oh man, this is so funny. This is so weird. All right, let's go back and listen to Thompson. So he's talking talking about the references of Miss Varga and what happened over the weekend.
Well, for the record, since Ms. Taylor has brought up the situation, Ms. Vargas did report and counsel background. Over the weekend, Ms. Vargas, after she testified, engaged in some electronic communications with others in the genetic genealogy field. Those indicated, as it was reported to the investigators, to our investigators, that she was redating on some of the things that she testified to in court. When we heard of that, I reached out to the investigators and said, can we find out what's going on? And the FBI indeed undertook an investigation. And preliminary reports are that Ms. Vargas claims that some of what was in her declaration, she inadvertently agreed to or signed without fully reading it. We're documenting that so we can expose it to Ms. Taylor and to the court, because I think it goes directly to what happened last week. That's the only reason that she was contacted, because it was reported to us that she was retracting some of what she had testified to and what was in her declaration. And we felt in fairness we need to uncover that quickly. There was no other motive, no other motivation for this. I just wanted to thank the court.
Your Honor, that's certainly different than the information that I received. I would have been happy to be advised about that, but I'm not sure that's accurate. I mean, I'm sure that's what Mr. Thompson heard. I'm not standing here calling him a liar. But the quality of the information police received, I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. My hope is that these two FBI agents that were at Ms. Vargas' home last night, hopefully they reported everything that they talked to her about, and that should resolve the issue of us.
It was just last night. It was just the night before. It wasn't not last night, but the night before. 2 FBI agents came knocking at her door. Oh my God, she probably shit her pants. Can you imagine?
That's how we sort these things out.
Yeah.
So, back to a change of the scheduling order. I mean, I think it does make some sense to redo that. You want to just talk about that before we start taking that apart? We don't have to do it right now, I'm saying.
Judge, the state's position would be is that the court vacate the October trial date, vacate the scheduling order, let us get through what we're going to do on the 1st, and then let's talk and see if we can come to an agreement. If not, allow the court to set a date for trial that's realistic, and then have a scheduling order generated that reflects the time preparing for trial and is useful for both parties to do what they need to do.
Is that acceptable, Ms. Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor, I agree. We should get through the hearing on the 1st, and then we're happy to meet with Mr. Thompson in his office and discuss an appropriate trial date.
That counsel can talk about some of those things before we're taking it back to the court.
Yes.
I fully support it. So I'm vacating the trial, October 2nd, and I'm vacating the
All those dates I
scheduling
I
order
made.
except for
Psych.
September 1st. Okay? So accepted Mr.
I made a nut.
Waivers, speedy trial. I have maybe a personal issue to discuss.
It's a personal
with
issue.
you. First of all, I wanted to tell you I'm getting requests for excuses already from potential jurors, and what I'm doing is not excusing anybody at this point. I'm the commissioner. Jury commissioner is just elected.
Okay, so he says he's getting already a lot of excuses from jurors. Yeah, all my sticky notes, wad them up and throw them in the damn trash bin. Because, psych, none of those dates are going to be accurate or happening anymore. What? They already have excuses coming in on juror things.
And what I'm doing is not excusing anybody at this point. I'm the commissioner. Jury commissioner is just collecting those, and then we're going to do those excuses on the record with you. Okay, I think that's appropriate in a case like this. Does that make sense, Ms. Taylor?
So, the excuses are from potential jurors.
They may be needed. I mean, these are expanding the panel.
Okay.
Okay, because I was thinking that I need a lot more potential jurors.
You
to
think?
show up. Objection to me excusing myself. I never thought I'd actually face that.
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't think I could be a juror in this case.
I would agree, Your Honor, that the image of the court going from the jury box, that is,
It's entertaining.
it is, but I understand and I would have no objection to support it.
Thank you. I thought about that, like going back and forth. I might get tired. But, Mr. Thompson?
It makes perfect sense for the court to excuse itself.
It's odd, but it is logical. I felt kind of awkward thinking that I would do that, talk to everybody at home.
We would not want to be confused with pardoning yourself, though.
Right,
What?
of course.
Why is he talking? Is this for real? Like, the bailiff's laughing. You can see Ann Taylor's cheekbones. She's laughing. The judge has a smirk and he's talking about himself being on the jury. What? What is going on? Can someone fill in the blanks? The judge has been called to be a juror in another case? Pin a rose on your nose. Thank you. I'm so confused. They're talking about the judge not being on the jury. Like, this doesn't even. All right. It's kind of odd. He says he has a personal issue.
Objection to me excusing myself. I never thought I'd actually face that.
I've never been on jury duty, ever called. I wish I was.
I mean, I don't think I could be a juror in this case.
I would agree, Your Honor, that the image of the court going from the jury box, that is,
It's entertaining.
it is, but I understand and I would have no objection to support it.
Thank you. I thought about that, like going back and forth. I might get tired. But, Mr. Thompson?
It makes perfect sense for the court to excuse itself.
It's odd, but it is logical. I felt kind of awkward thinking that I would do that, talk to everybody.
We would not want to confuse with pardoning yourself, though.
Right, of course. Always with an open mind.
Yes.
All right. Anything else we need to address today? Ms. Taylor?
No, you want to.
Ms. Thompson?
No.
All right. Well, thank you all, and have a good rest of your week. Richard.
Well, there you have it. What a weird hearing. What a weird hearing. So, why would he be called? What? So, he was called for another case? All right, we're going to open up the phone line. Let's take your calls. Let's take your calls, people, because this is weird. Opening up the call line. Let's talk about it. Let us talk about it this morning. Let me get the call number up. The mods can put it in the chat. It's ! Hotline bling. No, hotline. Go ahead and put the hotline bling on there. Let's see. Hold on. I'm having a technical difficulty. There we go. 727-755-6001. The phone lines are officially open. Give me a call. Let's talk about what we just heard, what we think we just heard. I'm not quite sure what we heard, but we did get that he waived his speedy trial. The FBI agent visited I bet you this is Eddie. Wait, let me get my sound bite ready for Eddie. Okay, here we go.
Call from.
This is Eddie.
I knew it! It's Eddie!
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Eddie, why'd you hang up? Call back, Eddie. Call me back, Eddie.
Eddie, what have you done for me lately?
Okay, so let's recap while we wait for Eddie to call back. We have the judge being called for jury duty. Doesn't even make sense.
Call from.
This is Eddie.
To accept, press 1.
Eddie,
To send a voicemail,
what have
press
you done
2.
for me lately?
Hello, good morning, Mr. Eddie.
Good morning. Did I dial the right number the first time and then
you-
accidentally hang up?
You did, but that's okay.
Okay. That's what happened.
That's okay. I thought I took too long to answer it, but we are live now. You are live on the air.
It's good to see you again.
You too. How you been doing?
Doing good.
Good.
I always like calling you. You're so nice.
Well, thank you. I like talking to you. I was like, the first phone call is always Eddie. I'm like, it's Eddie. I got to get my soundbite ready. So what's on your mind, Eddie?
Well, you know that hearing on Friday, I heard that the Kohberger family was at that hearing.
Ooh, really?
That's what I heard. But I didn't see them, on camera anywhere, like outside of the courtroom. Chanley Painter and Court TV had the Gonzalez's as they walked by the cameras.
Yeah, with their
the
shirt.
sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if it's true that the Kohberger family was there, it's kind of unfair that they didn't get any, media coverage, if you will.
I don't think they will. I don't know. I mean, I have to say, do you know who Andrea Burkhardt is? I
Yeah.
follow her on Twitter and I watch her on YouTube. I didn't realize that she had a YouTube channel, but I've been watching her coverage. She's been going to all the hearings.
Yes, she has.
So she was there on that Friday and she didn't say anything about the Kohbergers, but she did talk about the Gonsalves family, the aunt of Kaylee, the T-shirt. She talked about a lot of things that went on in the courtroom, and I think she would have mentioned that.
Yeah, and I don't remember where I heard that. I think a lot of it originated
If you
from
say
like the
TNT,
chat.
you lose a testicle. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I love you, Eddie.
You know, and I'm glad you brought that up because as like someone who wants to follow this case, we don't like to see, you know, it kind of saddens us to see like the content creators fighting, and there's a lot of drama, and I understand that. That's going to be like an inherent problem that you just, you know, you can't get rid of that.
Yeah, it's human. It's
part of-
humans.
Yes, it is. But I like you all, and we all like you all, and we don't like to see you guys, you know, having issues with one another or differences. We like to kind of bounce around and catch as much content as we can.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So just from, you know, an impartial point of view there.
Yep. I just have to call out when I see people deliberately doing things. I like to know, like, let my listeners know, because you know you don't always see everything, and we're on different ends of the spectrum here on YouTube. You know, as a creator, I see and hear different things than you know the viewers may hear, and it's tough for me to kind of wade through when people have got misinformation and then they come to my channel, and I want to talk about facts. And they're spewing all this rumor in chat. And it just makes it really hard to keep my channel focused the way that I want it to be focused. So that's the only reason why I don't typically make a habit of talking about other creators. I don't like doing that because everybody has their own style, right?
Yeah.
And
right.
that's what you're trying to say. Everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own information they've uncovered. And you guys want to take it all in and decide for yourselves. And I think that's great. And I think that's great.
And I think so highly of you all. You know how I feel about TNT. I think so highly of her, and I think so equally as highly about you. You are solid, and although we have our differences on, you know, Bryan Kohberger, that doesn't matter. I just really enjoy, you know, time spent with you.
Well, I appreciate your calls because, you know, even though we don't agree, Eddie, this is what being an adult is, and this is how you learn from each other, right?
Right. You know, you mentioned the T-shirt moments ago. I thought that was a little inappropriate because it seems to me to be like representative of the whole Gonsalves family opinion about Bryan Kohberger's, you know, involvement in this.
You think the T-shirt's inappropriate?
I do.
Or that they wore it there?
They wore it there, yeah.
Gosh, I don't know how I feel about that. Well, I mean, I do know how I feel about this. I feel like the font was small. I don't think anyone really knew what it said. Like, I don't think the judge could read it. Do you?
Well,
and that's what I'm wondering why it was allowed. Because typically that kind of stuff is not allowed.
You're right. I think I've seen enough about the Gonsalveses over the months now that I think they are a bit biased. I don't know if they're open-minded, as like myself and others.
No, definitely they're not. Their daughters are dead.
Yeah, are they looking for justice so desperately that they're only willing to see it one way, you know, or do they still have law enforcement as like someone who is speaking with them in their social circle, like in their ear? Are they still like in the early days and weeks of this these murders?
Mm-hmm.
They were talking with law enforcement quite often. So if law enforcement has like an influential voice with the Gonsalveses, that could cause them to be so biased, because after all, if law enforcement was speaking with the Gonsalveses, then you'd have to ask yourself, well, is law enforcement open-minded? Are they thinking that Bryan Kohberger could possibly be innocent? And of course, that's a ridiculous question because we know the answer to that.
I just threw the T-shirt up on the screen because a lot of people haven't seen it. So it says Justice for Kaylee at the top, and then it has like the scale of justice, and then it says Idaho House Bill 186, shots fired. So there's nothing that says Bryan Kohberger. There's no picture of him. I don't know how the court, I don't even know if they noticed this.
Yeah.
I think that it would have been hard for the judge to see that across the courtroom, to be honest with you, because this font is small. And there's really nothing directing them except for the justice scales, that it's about this case, right?
Yeah, it's subtle.
It's very subtle.
It's sending a message. It's a clear message, but it's kind of a subtle one in the same.
I just feel like you're talking about law enforcement having some kind of connection with the Gonsalves, but for all intents and purposes, from what we know, they weren't getting information from law enforcement. That was Steve's whole beef, was that he was frustrated that they weren't communicating. But I think at this point, sorry, Eddie, go ahead.
No, I interrupted you.
Well, I just think at this point, they know more than we do. And that's why I think, they are looking for justice in Bryan Kohberger.
I do think that they were, and what I was going to say was they were getting information from law enforcement, and I think it was misinformation. I think law enforcement was deceiving them a bit.
Why would they do that, though? Knowing that they're talking to the media.
I don't know.
You have to have an idea. Come on, spill it, Eddie.
Okay, so here it goes. All right, this is kind of a struggle for me, but I'll try. I don't want to go around blaming anyone, and I've always been so shy to say my thoughts because I'm not comfortable doing that. And all right, we know that Bryan Kohberger is totally innocent of all this because when you frame someone, you can't frame multiple people. The reason why we know he is innocent is because they're saying that he did it alone, but it took multiple people to do this. And
where do you get that from?
That's just, if you guys know what I'm saying, then God bless you. And I don't have vision. I don't have the ability to, I don't know. I get it just because when I reflect and think about this, I can see it. And I struggle so hard because if I was able to tell you all, because my thoughts are arranged so logically and so well, but I can't express it. When I get on these phones and I get frozen shock phase.
Oh no, Eddie, no.
And I just suffer terribly communicating, but
it's okay. You're doing great. Everybody loves your calls, by the way. So don't.
I get better with time, but slowly by degrees. But if I could express to you all what I have in my mind, I would come across more fluently than all of the people on these panels and all the content creators because it's just in my mind. I have it. I have it locked.
I have a suggestion. Since you have a hard time, maybe verbally getting it out, maybe get it all, type it out or write it all down. And then you can come up here and read it, or I can read it. And I want to know your theory. I want to know your theory from beginning to end, Eddie. I think your thoughts are so intriguing, but like you said, you don't really give the basis for where you're getting all of this.
Yeah, you're right. And it's just what I feel. So if I'm not here to try to convince anyone otherwise. And I know I won't convince anyone, but I just want to get it on the record. But
What are we
there is,
missing though, Eddie? What piece of the puzzle are we missing here?
and I don't know what the motive was. The piece that we're missing is why they had to die. There is a strong force, and I don't want to say what agency, because I don't know if it's just one agency, but when I look at all those press conferences, I can see the possibility of everyone being involved in this. You can see all of them that are involved in this framing. It comes across, and I can see it. The media making things up about him is all a part of this concerted effort.
Hold on. What have they made up about him?
Well, let's say just most recently, Court TV had on their screen during the court hearing on Friday. You remember how it said that he was in 3 of the victims'
DMs?
What is it? Similar, yeah. It's like their Facebook, but it's not Facebook. It's a different one.
Like Instagram?
Someone in Instagram.
Yeah, I think it was Instagram DMs.
Yeah, and that's not true. That's been already debunked.
How has it been debunked though? Because no one has those records except for the investigators.
There is no connection, and Ann Taylor said that.
Yeah, but Ann Taylor can say whatever she wants. I mean, she's doing her job. So, I mean, if there's no, she can technically say that, Eddie, because if they never talked, she can stand there and not be lying and say there's no connection. Because if he messaged them on Instagram and they didn't reply, she can say that's no connection. If they replied, that would be a connection. If they talked at a party, that would be a connection. He could have been at a party and they never spoke. So she's claiming that's no connection. That's how I see it. This is all technicalities, in my opinion.
Another way we can tell that he is totally innocent of all this is you can watch the defense. You can watch Ann Taylor and Bryan Kohberger. They are speaking without words through their body language and their bearing.
Oh my God, Eddie. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I have to say when I was talking to Potato this morning about this when I first woke up at 5 a.m. and saw it was released. And I said, oh my God, I get the feeling that Ann Taylor is completely wanting to disconnect from any kind of body language or anything to Bryan Kohberger. Throughout this whole hearing, she did not look at him once. She didn't reference him once. She didn't turn her body his way once. And she walked in a good 2 minutes before him with her investigator behind her. I think she doesn't want Bryan Kohberger looking at her butt when she walks in. I think she's a little creeped out. I knew you'd laugh and love that. I knew it. I'm telling you, from a woman's perspective, we know when men are looking at our ass. And if we don't like it, we will go out of our way to put ourselves in a position where that man can't look at our ass. And I'm telling you, I get the feeling she don't want him looking at her like that.
I think they are working well as a team. I think they respect and enjoy working, so to speak, with one another, but I don't think they're a suitable match that way. I don't think that
I think he wants her to be
connection.
I think he wants her to be Ann Kohberger. That's what I think.
No,
he looks at her like he wants to eat her alive, Eddie.
No.
Oh yeah, he does.
After this, there's going to be so many women standing in line.
Well, and that's a shame. That's a shame. And he loves it. He loves it.
Just mark this. He did not do this. The hallmarks of a framing is that you cannot frame multiple people. It's impossible because,
why would they frame one? I mean, what? I don't get it.
That's the only way it works. Let's say that they try to frame multiple people. Let's say it's you and me that they're accusing. And we would, you live in Tampa Bay and I live in Minnesota. I mean, we look at each other and be like, bring it. Like,
Right.
how ridiculous. That ain't going to work. Go ahead and try your best. I mean,
But if you were going to say bring it, you would actually follow through and bring it, right? You wouldn't say, hey, I can't wait to be exonerated. And then you get back and there's nothing to exonerate you. And then you go ahead and you put the little witness on blast who had to live through this and say, hey, I want her to testify in front because she's got exonerating evidence. And then that doesn't happen. And then he gets the grand jury and then he wants to fight that and say it's not legitimate, that 40 jurors were called and only 30 some showed up, which doesn't even matter, happens all the time. People say, fuck it, I'm just going to go to work. So he makes that an issue, like everything's a technicality for this guy. I really think it is.
well, he will be, I don't know if it's going to get dismissed or I don't know if it's going to go to trial. How can Bill Thompson bring this to trial with insufficient evidence? That is treachery.
He
If that
doesn't
is part
sound
of
like
the
he
plan-
has insufficient evidence. He sounds like he's got everything ready to go.
Well, then I look forward to hearing that.
Eddie, I freaking love you. I do. I'm going to really enjoy going through this trial with you. I got
It
to
will
say.
be something I look forward to as well. I want to say one last thing, if it's okay.
Absolutely.
If your other callers, okay.
No one has called in, so you got the floor.
No. Okay, I've been giving a lot of thought to like this Pennsylvania State Police CERT team action when they took him down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ooh, which is
Like-
going to be our episode today on Howard Blum at 3:00.
Oh.
It's going to be all about the SWAT, Eddie. And you're going to die.
So-
You're going to die. I don't know if you've read Howard Blum's write-up on the SWAT thing. Dude, you're going to die. They couldn't even get through the gate when they got to the neighborhood, but that's neither here nor there. But go ahead.
I wonder how, if they have like the correspondence, how does like the law enforcement in Moscow, Idaho, initiate that? Can you? In my mind, it's just kind of ridiculous because it's like, okay, so the phone rings there in Pennsylvania, like, ring, ring, Pennsylvania State Police CERT team. How may I help you today, sir or ma'am?
Uh-huh.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's funny. So, okay, well, hi, good morning. Yeah, I have a job for you if you guys, can fit it in your schedule. Let me look at the calendar. And by the way, who's calling? This is Moscow calling. Oh, let me patch you through to the Pentagon or Washington, D.C. Well, no, not Moscow, Soviet Union. This is Moscow, Idaho. Oh, I didn't even know there was a Moscow, Idaho. Because, Jay, I never knew there was a Moscow.
No, neither did I. I never even heard of it.
Yeah. So the Pennsylvania guys are be like scratching their hair, like, I'm gonna have to brush up on my geography. Okay, so what do you guys got? Well, here's the address, and then of course PSP is on their computer and it's like, okay, we got the address. So we got an elderly couple here. What do they do? What do you want me to bring them down for? Oh, it's not them, it's their son. Oh, I see. What did the son do? Well, he's accused for these 4 murders up here. Oh, and you're sure about that? Well, we're kind of sure. All right, yeah, we'll go ahead and take. How does this date work for you? The 30th.
Eddie,
it's
you're
ridiculous.
leaving out, you're leaving out a part though, Eddie.
Yeah.
You're leaving out the part where they went in the trash first and then
Yeah, I know.
sent the DNA off, and then they had their suspect for sure. They had the car, the Elantra, the name from WSU, and the DNA.
The part I'm really curious about is, was there in any of this correspondence discussion about mitigating the risk? Because, are his parents on, blood pressure medication? Do they have heart issues? Because, if we go busting into the house like this at that hour, people could have a heart attack. Or think of how unfair.
There's
and
4
risky-
people dead, right? There's 4 people that lost their lives. That one of them had literal, gouges of flesh taken out of their body, right? And they believe this man did it. So if someone's in there with a heart problem, I don't think that's on them. I think that would be on Bryan Kohberger, right? for doing this and then going to his parents' house if his dad has a heart issue and could possibly, fall over dead. That's on him. I mean, I don't think the FBI is going to look up someone's health record before they bust the door in to get a killer, right? Because they don't know if he's going to kill again. They don't know if he's going to kill that whole family in there. For all they know.
You ever watch Lenny DePaul on U.S. Marshals? It's like a TV, episode or Law and Crime Network. But anyway, Lenny DePaul it's real television on how they bring down these wanted fugitives, and he's a U.S. Marshal. But anyway, they try to mitigate the risk. They try to get these people like driving in a vehicle. They're all alone in their vehicle, and then they surround them and take them down that way because it mitigates the risk. So, was there any in this correspondence? Did Pennsylvania State Police say, "Well, all right, Moscow, I understand what you need, but let me suggest this to you. What if we just knock on his door and bring him in for questioning first? I mean, are you sure you even got the right guy?"
Okay, well, let me throw a little curveball at you, Eddie. Let's say that this all went down because Amanda Kohberger tipped them off and said, "Hey, my brother's acting really weird, and he's wearing gloves in the house, and I think there's something up." Then they would probably definitely have a little more information, right? What if it was his sister?
Is that a rumor, though?
Oh, of course. I mean, everything is because we don't really know for fact. But I'm just saying, I mean, what if it was his sister? I mean, if your brother came home for Christmas from college and there was just a quadruple murder 15 minutes from his house and he's wearing fucking rubber gloves all around the house, wouldn't you be like, what are you doing? And he has the same type of car they're looking for, and he comes home wearing gloves and his hands are all freaking red. I mean, wouldn't you be like, what's going on here, bro? Like, what have you been up to? I mean, you think you'd at least inquire. Or how about this, Eddie? Let's say your brother comes home from college, right? There's just been a quadruple murder at the next town over. You're going to talk about that. Like, your family is going to be discussing this. How?
They were talking. Him and his dad must have been talking in the vehicle.
They would have to.
On the ride home. Yeah, they were.
Because if they talked about the SWAT.
He knows something. And that's what we just can't figure out is how is he involved? There has to be, what does he know, right?
And maybe he's just really good at manipulating the facts. Because, I mean, to go from, I'm going to be exonerated, and when he was in PA, before he even left, I'm waiving my extradition. I want to get back there now. And, I don't even know what I forgot my train of thought because I was reading chat.
I understand.
It happens.
Reading chat really distracts.
Yeah, it's hard. So what do you
hazards of the profession?
I mean, I feel like we are missing big pieces of the puzzle, and it could be, whoever tipped them off could have known him very well.
I don't know how he was set up. I don't know why it had to be him. He's got an uphill battle because he is innocent, and he has got such a strong force after him, and I don't know why. He was taken down by force in Pennsylvania for dramatic effect only, and it was secondary purpose is to deny him the opportunity to assert his innocence. He was never brought in for questioning, and the reason is so that he can be indicted before being questioning. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that could be part of their tactics.
Because when we see that he was brought down that way, we gasp, and it's part of the play, the script.
I think it's because he's dangerous, to be honest with you. I think he was taken down the way he was because he's dangerous.
L-I-S-K,
and he has guns.
Long Island serial killer. How was he brought down? Do you know?
I don't remember, to be honest. Where did they arrest Rex? People in chat will know. I can't remember where they arrested him, if it was at his house.
I don't know firsthand. But I learned last night through chat, so it's unconfirmed, and it's just hearsay. For me, at this point, maybe chat here in your forum can help. But I heard that it was isolated, like in the community, away from everybody, kind of like I was describing about how Lenny DePaul with the U.S. Marshals would do it to mitigate the risk.
Okay, so here we have the info. They got the pizza out of the garbage. He chowed down on some pizza and left the crust. They got that. They tested it. And then they arrested him on the street in Manhattan, in downtown Manhattan, when he left work.
Yes. Why? How many times have you ever heard someone like being brought down this way? A whole family, his parents.
Well, Eddie, he did commit a quadruple murder and drive across the country.
You can't say that.
Well, according to them, he did. He committed a murder, a quadruple murder, and then drove like almost 2,000 miles away from where it happened. So that's probably why they acted the way they did. Like, how dare you? How dare you commit a quadruple murder and think you're going to leave the state and go celebrate Christmas?
But to go against your own argument, the Long Island serial killer was accused of committing, and look how he was brought down.
Mm-hmm. I think it's all circumstance. But Long Island serial killer was at his office, right? Maybe if this would have went down and he was at his office, they would have done it there. But unfortunately, him and his dad hopped in the Elantra and drove 2,000 miles away.
Well, but then they had him in the grocery store by himself or washing his vehicle.
Maybe they were watching at that point, though, to see what he did to use it against him. They needed to gather more intel on what he was doing in the days after arriving back in Pennsylvania. Thank you, Jeff H.
Think of how risky, though. I mean, like, what if instinctively one of the parents, when they're out of a dead sleep and they grab, like, I don't know, the broom handle or something instinctively in self-defense? Like, what's going on? Can you imagine if they had, like, a hairbrush or a flashlight or a broom handle in their hand, thinking that their house is being invaded? That would probably, the response to that would probably be...
I have a feeling they knew something was going on, or at least BK did, because he was awake. So what I found out, Eddie...
Wouldn't lights be on if he was awake?
Oh, listen, they were circling that house in a plane for about 4 or 5 hours before. And they were at like, I don't know, 1,500 feet. So you have a plane or a helicopter, or whatever the hell it was, circling your house for 4 or 5 hours. I think you're a little tipped off. And I think that might be why he was in the gloves and doing what he was doing, because he knew it was coming. He had to have. I mean,
no,
he had
those
to
are
have.
silent. You cannot hear those. Those are
Really?
silent. Oh, yeah. And I think it's called like forward-looking infrared. They can, see your thermal image through your roof. They can tell if you are standing up, what room, they can see you.
So you think they could see through his roof and see what he was doing in real time?
Oh, yeah.
And then they probably picked the moment to go in. Wow, that gives me chills, man. That's fucked up.
They would know what you're doing. If you're playing cards at a table with another person, they would know that. They could see you doing that. Isn't that amazing?
That is crazy. I never even thought of things like that. So they must have, if you're correct, they must have been watching all those hours, seeing where he was, where his parents were. So that answers your question quite a bit, that, they knew where the dad was. They knew where the mom was. They knew where the sister was. And they knew where Bryan was when they busted in.
Yes, they did. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's scary.
Yes. Yeah.
It's scary, but at the same time, it's amazing, right? It's just, you wonder, you worry about technology like that being misused or used inappropriately. And that's what happens,
We all want justice for the Idaho 4, but in this case, I think the best that we can hope for is true justice for Bryan Kohberger. And I think in the end, this will be a cold case. I don't think there will ever be, the people who did this will ever be found out.
I respectfully disagree. I respectfully disagree with you.
Jay, when and if this gets revolved, I would happily come on to your channel and talk to you about it.
Eddie, you're never going away. You better never disappear, because we're going to send a search party for you. Because if Eddie disappears from this case, we are all going to be worried.
No, I will never.
Because you are invested.
And you mentioned a couple months ago, I think now, that your husband kind of spoke to you, and I think he's a voice of reason. I think
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what you're you know what I'm talking about. I think he's got a good point, and you should listen to what he has.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. And I gotta say, I found a picture of Miss Bethany Funk. I know you're talking about what he said about Bethany. He thinks that there's a possibility that she may have had something going on with Bryan Kohberger. And I say, there's no way in hell that girl was going to touch Bryan Kohberger. Not her type. He's none of their type.
No,
Like,
and unless she's, I don't know.
I found a picture of her and her boyfriend, though, or someone she dated. I don't know if it's her boyfriend. They were going somewhere. It looks like a formal or something. And just based on the type of guy that she's with, frat guy, cool frat guy that has lots of buddies and friends, and it's just he doesn't fit in. And I think that's where his anger comes from, is that they have everything he never could have. There are people like that, Eddie, that are just so either jealous or feel like they've been robbed of things, or there's so many variables to people's mental state based on how they were raised, things they went through as a child. And you look at Bryan, and he, for all intents and purposes, I mean, let's talk about him like a human being. I know you appreciate that. He's been through a lot in his life, from what we've learned. If everything's true, the weight, the ups and downs, the problems at school, the problems with the programs in high school, then, doing online school his senior year, heroin, all these things that we've heard about. Those have lasting effects on a youngster, right? I mean, if you're 17, 18, 19 years old and you're doing heroin, that's going to change your entire chemistry, in my opinion. And I think that you got to take in everything that makes that person a whole, because all of those instances make him a whole. All of these things, we hear the story about in the bar in Pennsylvania. He had notes in the system that he was creepy towards women. There's one incident. And then you have another one with the childbearing hips, the weird Tinder date, stood outside the door, made her uncomfortable. You can't disregard women's intuition when it comes to men. And that's what I mean by, like, when I said that about Ann Taylor. I'm not saying she's like, oh, I can't do this. But she's human. And we don't know if she believes he's guilty, because she can still defend him to the hilt, even if she thinks he did it, and that's her job, right? She can think that he did it all day long, but her job is to put holes in the prosecution's story, no matter what. So we don't know really what Ann Taylor as a human thinks and feels. And even though this is a court of law, you have to still factor in emotions for people. And I just don't want to disregard what females have said about him, because we do get those vibes. And so many times us women ignore them. So if we disregard that, I think that it's dangerous, because we want women to be more aware. There are a lot of creeps out there, Eddie, and there's a lot of creeps on these apps. And I'm kind of on my soapbox, but I have a daughter the same age as the girls that were murdered. And I see her making friends on these stupid apps, Tinder and Bumble. And it's dangerous. You don't know who these people are. So I think we have to really be careful with that, because I don't want women to disregard their intuition.
What do you think about Bethany Funk's exculpatory?
I don't think it exists, or I don't think it exists. Why would, if it existed, why would he waive his right to a speedy trial? Let's bring it. Let's get Bethany on the stand. Let's get this going. I'm ready to go fucking home. I don't want to sit in Latah County. No, he does want to sit in Latah County. He wants to sit there for years because he gets all these privileges he's not going to get in prison.
Lawyer, covered it this morning.
Ooh, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, it's pretty much, to summarize it the best I can, is they need to get this discovery, and once they do, it will take time to go through it in order for her to be a effective counsel for him. So there it is. The best way I can.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing her job. It doesn't mean
Yeah,
that
they-
she
they
believes
need
in
more
him.
time. Right.
She doesn't have to believe in his innocence. She really doesn't.
Well, I think in this case she does. I think
We,
that
we couldn't possibly know that. With all due respect, Eddie. We couldn't possibly know what she thinks.
Bethany, Bryan knows something that Bethany knows, or Bethany Funk simply knows, like, who did it, maybe.
What
Which,
about the naked guy? Remember that rumor?
I did. Yeah, remember.
Do you think that it's possible that maybe Bethany had an overnight guest that was spooked by what happened in the house and he ran out of the house naked?
Could be.
I wondered that. No, seriously, because there was supposedly a naked man seen running from the house, right, Eddie? Is that the story?
Yeah. What we heard. I forget where we heard
What
it.
time was that supposedly at? Was that in the morning time, like when he allegedly came back in the morning at like 9, or was it when it was still dark out? I don't remember.
Was there a specific time associated with that,
I don't
or was
remember.
it just in general?
Yeah, I don't.
I think
remember.
it was just without a time. Yeah.
I think it was just that there was a naked man seen running from the house.
I would run from the house too if that was happening.
Me too. So how do we know that like Bethany and that wasn't like a boyfriend that she had over and they, were in bed and he heard some shit that spooked him and he ran out that front door naked?
How can?
Scary.
Why was Bethany and Dylan spared? That is really important to what's going on here.
Jeff H. says the naked man was seen running from the house with a bunch of stuff wrapped in a shower curtain.
It's a question mark. He's just.
Oh, with a shower curtain?
Yeah.
Well, the shower curtain in the downstairs bathroom was all messed up, but it was still there. One-Eyed Flo said it's come out that not one of OJ's attorneys believed in his innocence.
I believe that.
Do you think OJ did it, Eddie?
I can't even comment on that. It's been so long, and I'm not like up to speed on that.
Really?
Yeah.
You should watch the trial
failed.
while you're waiting for
Failed
BKs to
my
start.
memory.
Because I really think that Papa Roger's picture is like a part of a morph of Mark Furman.
I think
Fight.
if I recall, and that's been so long ago, but if I recall, the general consensus back then was that he was guilty and that he got off, and it was like unexpected, and he was the luckiest. He won the lottery. He shouldn't have, but somehow he kind of dodged a bullet there. Am I kind of summarizing it? Is that right? Everybody thought he was going to be found.
Well, everybody thought he was guilty, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
a huge surprise that he was found not guilty, absolutely. But it
Yeah.
was kind of the same thing, like if I just see a little, I don't know, man. I think Bryan Kohberger played some actual games when he planned these crimes, and I think that there's going to be little pieces from different cases, because I think he studied them, right? We know he studied them. But I think he used, I think he went back, and if I was going to be a killer, I hate to say this because I sound like a weirdo, but if I was going to be a killer, I guess I would probably go back to past killers that got caught, and I would study what made them get caught. So, I'd go back to BTK, and I'd look at him, and I'd go, what did he do that made him get caught? And then I'd go back to OJ and be like, hey, what made him get caught? What put him in the hot seat, to be accused of these crimes? And then try to figure out how to get around those. Because I think it's funny, there was a glove outside. And I don't know where the glove came from, but they're saying there was DNA. Of course, there's DNA. Someone was wearing the glove. But we don't know where the glove came from. It was found after the fact. Was it BK's? Was it an investigator's? Was it thrown there at 9 a.m. when he went back the next day? I don't know. But it just reminds me of OJ with this glove business.
Yeah, there's a glove in this case too. Isn't that a coincidence?
Yeah, one.
It's probably a cold weather glove or something silly.
I think it was a latex glove.
A latex one. Wow.
That's what
I
that's
didn't know.
what I think, but I might be wrong. Chat will correct me.
You know,
They
like
always do.
how a child is always losing one glove.
Yeah, I don't think
or
it was a
your
winter
dryer
glove
always
though.
hot.
I don't think it was a winter glove. I think it was a black latex glove.
Wow.
I know.
That I didn't know.
You can't make this stuff up, Eddie.
So this Richard Batanti, the defense's investigator, right? During his investigation, it became known that Bethany Funk has information material to the charges against Mr. Kohberger.
Mm-hmm.
Portions of information Bethany has is exculpatory to the defendant.
Then bring it.
That is the, by the way, you cannot find that document. That document is titled Affidavit in Support of Motion for Out-of-State Service.
Yeah, and it was filed in Washoe County, right?
Yeah, March 22nd, 23. But that's no longer on the court,
Yeah, you want to know
document.
why? Because Bethany
Good.
agreed to
That's what
meet with them, I think. I think that's why.
Okay.
I think that was
Yeah,
like a
that's-
subpoena to like make her testify. And then they talked after that was filed and she said she'd meet with them privately.
Mhm.
So I think maybe that's why they removed it, because they weren't going to have to force her to testify, that she agreed, via her
okay.
attorney. So they probably retracted that thing out.
Good yeah.
That's what I
you
think. I mean,
know,
that's just a guess. I don't know.
You've got a really, firm understanding of, more so than myself.
Well,
You're
I just
pretty-
remember those things because I just remember he wanted her. That was like to force her to come from Reno, where she lives, to Idaho to testify, and then her attorney filed another paper that said that Bethany has agreed. There's no need to do this type thing. We will meet. So then they probably just handled it all privately versus going through the court.
Yeah.
But if she had exculpatory evidence and she did the interview already, why haven't they brought it? I mean, why would your client sit in jail indefinitely if this girl could free him from all of these charges?
Well, wouldn't that information that she had have come to see the light of day in a preliminary hearing, but instead they had a grand jury instead, right?
Yep.
So they denied her the ability to share any of that exculpatory.
Well, she was probably able to share it in front of the grand jury, right? So I'm sure
No,
she was probably a witness in the grand jury. But I think what they did was to protect her
That's-
from being scathed by the defense team. I mean, Eddie,
That's your theory.
Eddie, but
This is all-
Eddie, let's take this.
not
If we're going to
confirmed.
humanize BK, we've got to humanize these young girls. We can't have it one way or the other. If we're going to humanize BK, we have to humanize Bethany. And all we know about Bethany is that she was in her room. We don't have any statements from her. And that she was there and she survived. Right? So we have to humanize her and her mental state of mind. I have a son who watched his girlfriend die in front of him in an accident. If this girl saw her friends dead, I'm going to tell you right now, she'll never be the same. And this is beyond, following a case on YouTube. This is real. These are real things that they have to deal with. And the fact that he waived the speedy trial now makes me feel like these girls and these families and everybody is going to be stuck in this trauma for years. And young people can't grow and blossom when their brain is stuck in PTSD trauma. And to me, that's very real because I've seen my son struggle with it. He's 25 now. He was 16 at the time. He still has nightmares. So for me, I personalize that. And maybe that's wrong of me, but I can feel for these girls and their parents and what they're going to have to talk these girls through. I mean, the youngest being 19, they're babies. And if they saw anything like this coroner is saying, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we've got Chief Fry saying, dude, not just my young ones need counseling. They all need it. We can't dehumanize these young girls. We can't make them the culprit and the reason and the excuse. We can't do that to them. We can't. And to have to sit in front of that person, I can't even imagine. My son, okay, so long story short, he was walking down the road with his girlfriend at 16 years old in a residential neighborhood, 25 miles per hour. Some dude hopped up on pills, came behind them at dusk, and was fighting with his woman who was in the back seat and plowed right into his girlfriend, threw her 50 feet in the air. Her shoes came off her feet. He had to see that. He called 911. And to think that people are shaming these girls, it makes me sick. It really does. Because you don't get over that. You don't. These girls aren't trained cops. They're not trained FBI agents that are, desensitized to this type of thing. These are young girls that were just having fun, partying, drinking, maybe smoking a little marijuana. They damn sure didn't ask for this.
I'm not sure if I've seen anyone shaming them. Just asking questions.
Putting their faces on a thumbnail. Oh, dude, search YouTube. Look at what those girls have to see. Their faces all over thumbnails, questioning their involvement. It's sick and it's wrong. Until people know for a fact that they did something wrong or they hid something, shame on people who villainize them. And I think that karma will take care of those kind of people.
But I have to ask you, is asking questions, like reasonable questions, like shaming them or re-victimizing them?
I think asking, discussing things is fine. Like, why did they wait so long? But no one on YouTube seems to want to give them the benefit of the doubt. They just want to rake them through the coals. Oh, I had someone in my comment section calling Dylan fish lips. Are we adults? These girls are probably more mature than some of these idiots that are making these comments on YouTube. Calling Dylan fish lips? I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, who are these people watching and following this case?
That is out of line, certainly. Yeah.
Until you know that they hid something, I think everyone should practice caution and be a caring individual and not rake them through the coals, because you can't take that back.
So
I mean, these girls live on TikTok. Do you think that they can even go on their normal social media anymore? I don't think they can. I don't think they can open up TikTok because they're going to see their faces associated with being involved with BK in these murders. They can't even go to college anymore. They had to leave their college and their home that they lived in, their life. And they can't go on social media like they used to. They can't go out in public like they used to. Isn't that bad enough? Like, do we really need to continue it on YouTube when we don't even know what they know? We have no idea. All we know is what was in that PCA, that little paragraph. And I just think it's so dangerous for people to take it to the extreme when they don't know. And that's why I don't like creators who do that. And that's my personal thoughts, because I think that everyone deserves the benefit of the doubt, especially victims and someone who might be a victim. I mean, they could have easily been killed too.
Moments ago, you said what we know. Let's talk about what we know. Have you ever heard of Subconscious Mouth, content creator?
I've heard of them, yeah. Very
He
beginning.
says, we have to strip this down to bare metal, what we know. And when you do that, what we know is that and it's very basic, and I won't spend a lot of time outlining what we know, but what we know is that on the early morning hours of November 13th, Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were brutally stabbed with a sharp-edged weapon. We don't even know if it's a knife. And that 2 roommates survived. We also know, of course, the grub truck at around like 1:50 a.m. We know, prior to that, Corner Club, and they walked on the sidewalk, and then 1:56, I believe, they arrived home. That's what we know. In other words, we cannot include what is in the PCA as part of what we know.
Why?
That is how, that's the distinction. That is how having these conversations is going to be challenging, because if you...
Ooh, I've got another caller coming in. I'm sorry. I think it's Kendi.
Okay.
I'm going to take her call. If you want to call back in, you can call back in.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Eddie.
All right. Yep.
Call from
Kendi.
Hey, girl. Hey, you are live. Kendi.
Hello?
Are you there? Hey, you're live.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
What's up? What's your thoughts? Eddie, I'm sorry I didn't mean to cut you off, but no one else had called in, so I wanted to take this call. And Eddie, you can call back. All right, go ahead, Kendi. What's on your mind?
Oh, I just wanted to call.
Were you trying to talk me
know,
down?
Eddie,
I was getting a little heated.
Yeah, man.
I'm just very passionate about that. I trust me, it's very personal to me, and I just feel like people need to go easy on these girls. But go ahead, Kendi.
Yeah, they do, because they're certainly gonna, not allow them to be, the focus of this, and take it all away from them and their families. I mean, I don't care what kind of T-shirt the families want to wear to court. They have to show up there every day to face this, tragedy. I mean, they can wear whatever.
Oh, I'm down. I think I might buy a shirt if they're selling them.
Yeah.
I mean, I want a shirt. I am on the Gonsalves family side. I am on the victim side 100%. However they choose to handle this tragedy and handle Bryan Kohberger and the death of their daughters, I am not going to judge that. That is completely up to them, and every family is going to be different. The Gonsalves family is more aggressive. The Chapin family chooses not to watch it. They all grieve in their own way, and I respect every family in the way they handle things.
Yeah. Well, I totally, I think Bryan did it. I think it's something that he's thought about and planned out for a long time. He went through all that stuff in high school, and he tried fitting in by losing weight. He tried fitting in by doing drugs. He just never, he's just...
One door after another in his face, huh?
Yeah. And, him starting down that path of the criminal justice, he probably felt like, wow, these people get me. All these serial killers, they understand me. And that I think that's when it all just escalated to the point his compulsion had to, he just had to do it. He had no option, I don't think.
He had built himself up.
It didn't.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I never thought of it that way. Like, especially when he studied under Catherine Ramsland, right? She had been in contact with BTK, talking to him on the phone, interviewing him, wrote a book about him, Inside the Mind of a Killer. So if he learned about Dennis Rader, and he may have thought, wow, I'm not alone, someone else has felt these same feelings of rage. These random feelings that I get aren't so odd after all.
Right. Yeah. And the sad part about it to me is like these girls, they had, they lived these lives that, that's how college is supposed to be. You're supposed to go out and party and make your best friends, and they probably had no clue.
I don't think they did.
Who he was, or that they even pissed him off,
I don't think they did either. I thought of that. I don't know if you caught, I'm sure you did, the video where I did the tribute. In the video of Xana, where she's dressed up like Barbie on the porch, I just see her like, they're just so they're in their own little nucleus. They're not, those kids are on that porch, they're partying, they're having fun. They're not looking around the perimeter. They're not noticing, oh my God, that white car drives by a lot. Kids don't,
Yeah.
they're not thinking that way. So I get what you're saying. I think that they were totally oblivious. I really think they
Yeah,
were
I think
totally
so.
oblivious. Maybe not Kaylee. I don't know. I feel like there's
Yeah.
something more with Kaylee.
Yeah, I don't know who his original target was. If it was Maddie or Kaylee, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
But
not saying she was
for
necessarily the target, but I feel like for some reason she was maybe more aware of something that was going on that was weird or something. I don't know.
yeah, maybe so. Yeah,
Just a
but
guess.
yeah. I mean, we'll probably never really know what was, what actually happened. But I just feel so bad for all of those kids and their parents,
Me too.
and it's horrible. Hopefully, he'll get what's coming to him.
Justice for
So,
the Idaho
but
4, right?
yeah.
Because
So I just wanted to call in
well,
and say,
Kendi, let
hey,
me give you. I'm glad you called. Let me ask you. I love getting people on the phone here because I'm always talking to myself. I'm like, no, don't hang up. Okay, I want to ask you one more thing. So Dennis Rader, and I'm trying to get out of the habit of calling him BTK because I'm learning that he made that name up himself. Did you know that? The media didn't give him
yes,
that name. He made that up.
right. He made it up. He wasn't getting the recognition that he wanted.
Uh-huh.
You know,
So he
yeah,
made
and
himself a
that's what got him
name.
caught too.
Mm-hmm. So his daughter actually was on. Do you ever watch Surviving the Survivor on YouTube?
No, I'm never.
Oh my gosh. If you're not watching STS Nation, one of my favorite channels, Surviving the Survivor, he's a reporter. He used to be a reporter, I think for Fox. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but it's him and his mom. His mom is a Holocaust survivor or something. They're great together. She's hilarious. She cusses and all this shit. I think she's like a psychologist. But anyways, they have the best guests. They get all these FBI profilers on, like legit. He did have Coffin Daffer on last night, which I was a little disappointed, but that's the first time I've seen her on there. He usually has really good guests. So, anyways, he has Carrie on there, Carrie Dennis Rader's daughter. And
Uh-huh.
she was the one that shared that they talked about him creating this name himself. And, she wants him to be called by his name because they don't want to give him that notoriety. And another thing, quick thought. Yesterday, they have named 2 more victims that might be Dennis Rader's. And
I saw that.
his daughter spent 3 hours with him trying to get info out of him. So,
Wow.
hats off to her. What an amazing young woman.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I saw that they went back to go dig up some stuff about that. Was it an Oklahoma girl?
Yeah.
Girl?
Nuts. And
Man,
then
that's crazy.
it came out too that Rex might have another victim in South Carolina.
Oh, I'm sure he has them all over.
I bet he does too. Wait till they start hitting on him in Vegas. I mean, how are they even going to track those down with all the hookers in Vegas?
Right.
Right? I mean,
Yeah,
no
crazy.
wonder he had a house or a condo in Vegas. It's a paradise for picking up sex workers.
Yeah.
It just makes me sick.
Wow.
Crazy.
Well, yeah, hope, if Brian's gonna, I knew he was gonna waive the right to a speedy trial. I mean, of course couldn't go easily.
Yeah.
But he's just sitting back. This is the most interaction he's probably had with people in his whole life.
Yes.
You know,
And
being in the jail.
all the letters he's getting from all these stupid women that are like infatuated with killers. He loves it.
Yeah.
Did we
Lord.
hear, does he have a tablet? Do we know?
I don't know. I'm sure he does.
Ugh. Doesn't that make you sick?
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that they have it and that they can they're allowed to look up stuff. I'm sure, they have
Wow.
parameters set up on there, but
I wonder if he has
you know.
access to just straight Google.
I don't know.
Because, I was thinking about, all those stats that came out, like how many times each kid's name had been searched and how many times King Road address had been searched. Remember when that came
Yeah.
out? Like the
Uh-huh.
I wonder if he's still checking that, and I wonder if he's checking how popular he is in search engines, compared to the victims.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure if he could, I'm sure he's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So,
Unbelievable.
well, maybe I think Jammers wants to call
Oh,
in.
yay! I've been waiting for Jammers. All right. Well, thank you, Kendi. It's been very nice to hear your voice.
Yeah, it was great talking to
Yeah,
you.
you too. Thanks for all your support. I really appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right.
All right. Bye. All right, Jammers. It's your turn. Jammers. Investigators have discovered items of interest in a renewed search of the Kansas property formerly owned by serial killer Dennis Rader. Osage County Sheriff Eddie Verdon said, Eddie, is that you? Are you in Kansas, Eddie? Eddie Verdon said Wednesday that the search found possible trophies that Rader may have taken from his victims. We weren't looking for bodies. We were looking for items. We did find itums. We can't release what they are. The search came as law enforcement hunt for evidence linking Radar 78 to the unsolved missing persons and murder cases. The killer gave himself the nickname BTK as an acronym binding, torturing, and killing his victims. And he confessed to killing 10 after his arrest in 2005. So for those like Eddie who think that it's not possible for BK to have done this, do you know that this man managed in his first murder to murder an entire family all by himself? Oh, Jammers, are you sick? I missed that. Joe Puglisi. How is it sickening when we know he's been arrested and charged? Why is that sickening? What's up, Myron? Joel, that is not a good alibi. Of course he was riding around stalking, right? Brian Hoffman, there is nothing yet on Brian. I disagree. Why aren't you calling in, Jammers? Did Kendi just put you on the spot? Ew, look at Dennis Rader's toes. Bleh. I could have gone the rest of my life without seeing that this morning. Okay, there's the house. The killer's daughter said the theory from investigators is that Rader may have hidden evidence under his shed in the yard of his home. Rader's Park City home was bought by the city in 2007 and torn down, with the search this week focusing on his yard where the metal shed stood. And there's Carrie Rawson, the daughter. She has assisted in the investigations into her father. So she flew to Oklahoma in June to help investigators. So Dennis refused to cooperate with police, and during a recent meeting with cold case investigators, he had his belongings seized by prison guards. I bet you he doesn't want to be implicated in this because they have the death penalty in Oklahoma. They have the death penalty in Oklahoma. This is the Otero family that he took out his first murder. And one may want to ask, how did he manage to kill all 5 people? The same way that BK managed to kill 4. We don't know what he did. We don't know how he did it. And now we have to wait a long time to find out. So this is Julie Otero, 33, strangled with a rope. Joseph Otero, 38, suffocated with a plastic bag. Josephine Otero, 11, hanged with a rope. Joseph Otero Jr., 9, suffocated with a plastic bag. Catherine Bright, 21, stabbed 3 times in the abdomen with a knife. Here's more. His 6th victim was Shirley Vian, 24, strangled with a rope. Nancy Fox, 25, strangled with a belt. Marion Hedge, 53, strangled with hands. So he went from using ropes to finally using his hands to feel it. He must not have liked it because he went back, and the next one he used a nylon stocking on Vicky Wergirl, 28. And then Dolores Davis, 62, he strangled with pantyhose again. We don't know if Bryan had a gun either. He had a gun when he was arrested, rescue. How do you know he didn't have a gun? We don't know. There's Dennis and Carrie when he was playing both roles as a serial killer and a father. Poor girl. So this is the newest one. A cheerleader was last seen in 1976. Cynthia Dawn Kinney. This is the latest victim they're looking into. He said it was hard on the hands. That is so sick. Right, you're right, Joe. I am assuming Bryan killed the 4 students because he's the one arrested and charged with the crimes. Why would I assume anyone else did it when he's the one that's been arrested for it? It really, really defies all logic, to be honest with you. It defies all logic what you're saying.
La, 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 la.
I've missed you too, Joel Berry. How you doing? I've been a little saucy the past few days. So that's the latest one they're looking into, and Carrie has been asking him about it. This is Catherine Ramsland doing her interview. There is a really good, yeah, you can call back, Eddie. 727-755-6001. Catherine Ramsland. I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, and here's one crime scene. And maybe this is why we didn't see them removing the bodies. Do you think? Do you think that maybe we've learned from these times where this is just kind of utterly disrespectful to see the dead body on the stretcher? Maybe that's why they covertly got rid of the bodies out of the house while nobody was looking.
Call from
This is Eddie.
Welcome back, Eddie.
It's good to be back.
It's good to have you back.
We left off, we were talking about, I think I was trying to say what makes this a bit of a challenge for so the room is split, right? We have people thinking one way and we have people thinking the other way. And there's like a disconnect there as to what makes conversation between those two groups a challenge. And I was trying to explain what I think I've identified as the biggest hurdle. And I think you were just addressing one, and I forget who it was in chat, but someone in chat you were talking to saying because he was arrested for this.
Yeah, they said, why are you assuming he did it? And I said, because he's the one charged.
Yes, precisely. And because, stripping it down to bare metal and what we know, in the PCA, we cannot trust the PCA, especially when it comes to the portion of DM's statement. I'm not saying the whole entire PCA, but in DM's statement, that is all garbage. Every portion of it. And when the real killers are watching these channels, and they're in these chats, they have got to be thinking, because this has almost been 9 months now of us sitting here and talking about, what Dylan might have seen. Maybe she was drunk and that's why. And, we must look ridiculous to whoever actually did this and who was watching this. They must be just rolling at our silliness, because they probably weren't even in the house. Or if they were, it's all hearsay. This portion of the PCA is hearsay, and we are having ridiculous conversations about this whole Dylan bit. That's important to know. And we have to be able to have the ability to kind of like step out of the rigidness of the PCA, and like that's the official word is law enforcement. And if we are going to rigidly stick to exactly the information that comes from law enforcement, then we're not going to get close to the truth on this.
Oh, I disagree. Now, why do you say that? You don't want anybody to trust law enforcement on this?
Not on this.
Why? What reason?
It's just the way it is on this one.
No, it can't be just the way it is. There's got to be a reason that you aren't trusting the investigation. We have no reason to not trust the investigation. What reason do we have?
Is there a possibility that he was framed or set up?
Where's the proof of that? What would be the reason? No one even knew who this dude was. Why would they set him up? He just moved there. What would be the reason to set up this nobody who has no friends?
But in fairness to
no
me,
one really knows him.
This is not the first time you've heard someone out there talking about a framing or a setup. I'm like this morning, speaking with me right now, that you've heard this before besides me, right? I mean, others are talking about this possibility. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Why are we talking about it? I don't have proof, and I'm not going to be able to have proof, especially if there is such a powerful force that is behind all this.
It just defies logic. There's really just no... I mean, I'm hearing what you're saying. You're saying, oh, they set him up. But you're not telling me why these cops would want to set up someone they don't even know. And how they would even know who the hell he is. He didn't even live in the same town.
I would never be able to have the answer as to why.
But you know what, Eddie? I got to agree with the people, with this person. Opinion Einstein. Ann Taylor would have already brought that into the case. She's not going to let these cops get away with framing her client.
I would disagree. She's not going to be able to solve this crime. All she's going to be able to do is advocate for her client and try to make sure that he sees true justice, and that if he did not do this, that she gets a not guilty verdict for him. Who did this? In the end, we may never know if this is a setup and it's this deep.
I don't think it's any kind of setup. I think that's just...
He might be a patsy.
For what?
I don't know.
I mean, that's just so far out there, dude. Like, it's so far out there. He's no patsy. He's a weirdo who never fit in. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but he never fit in, dude. The only people he fit in with were his druggy friends. And that's because they were all high on heroin. Other than that, when he wasn't on heroin, he couldn't socialize. And then he was still quiet. Even the guys that did heroin with him said he was odd. But they said he was just quiet. But you got to remember, they were all high on heroin. How intuitive are they going to be? He never fit in. He couldn't date the girls he wanted. He couldn't succeed in the programs he wanted.
Has this been verified, any of these rumors?
Well, I think we heard from the administrator at his school that he had problems with females in the law enforcement class, and he had to be removed. They can only legally say so much, you know?
Just like in politics, and I don't want to get politicky, and I should be able to say this without breaking the internet or your channel, but if during an election, there's if there's
I've got another call coming in, Eddie.
I'll
Hold your
let you go
thought.
then.
Hold your thought. All right. Talk to you in a minute.
Okay.
Call from
This is Punani.
Ah!
Yay!
Hey, Punani. What's up?
What's up?
It's so good to
Yo,
it's so good to hear you. What's
I
up?
could not take it anymore, man. There is no way. There is no way they would set up a loser like that.
I agree. So what are your thoughts on this,
Oh
on
my
the whole waiving the speedy trial?
Oh, he just got to drag it out.
Games.
Yeah, it's just all games, and I feel so bad. He's going to drag everybody through the mud, and it's going to just be so exhausting.
I agree. I feel really bad for the families. And I saw yesterday the Gonsalves family posted on Facebook. They said, pray for our family today.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's hard because they know that I think, everybody kind of knew there was no way it was going to go through, but I'm sure they had like wishful thinking that there was light at the end of the tunnel to get the justice, and then they can grieve the way they want to grieve.
Right. There's no way he's going to let it happen because he's such a, what.
Joe Pug in chat, one that's been antagonizing, just said,
Yeah.
amazing. You know the caller. Did you text her to call to stop the call with Eddie? What? Do you see how paranoid these people are? Like, what?
Oh my God. I have never called in before. I never have. And I do not have Jay's number.
And I also have taken Eddie's call 3 times today. Like, I'm definitely not avoiding him.
Exactly. Eddie always calls in.
I know.
He's our Bryan Kohberger guy.
He is. I love Eddie. I do. I respect him. And I respect him because he comes across respectful in his beliefs. He doesn't say anything derogatory about the victims or anything like that. I don't think he's trolling. I really don't. I really think he believes what he believes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think about Ann Taylor? Do you think that how do you think, I mean, just guessing, what do you think she feels about Bryan? Like, do you think she's vibing like, oh, he's creepy? Or do you think she just, has dealt with so many scumbags in her time that she's just desensitized to it? Like, he's just another criminal?
I don't know. I feel like she might be getting creepy vibes from him. And the way that he's so cocky and portrays himself, she might actually be like, yeah, this guy is a little iffy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She might think, oh, no.
I think he's a lot different than a normal killer or criminal that, she's used to defending, or she does a lot of drug cases and stuff. But I just feel like, I don't know, people are saying she thinks she's going to be famous. Well, I mean, it's not really her fault that she's got the credentials to handle the death penalty cases. And it's not her fault that they have to cover and dot every I and cross every T, because it's a death penalty case. So, I mean, any lawyer would do that. And I don't know, $400 an hour. I don't know if that's what she's making, but it's her job.
Right, yeah. Like I said, I would hate to be a defense lawyer, honestly. I would run far away from that.
Yeah, it would be hard. I couldn't separate my feelings, I don't think.
Mm-mm.
Joe Pug.
Then,
Joe Pug is yapping again at us. He says, or she, Anne is doing her job. Why ask what she feels about the person, Bryan? Isn't that juvenile? No, what's juvenile is your comment. I mean, shit.
Yeah, we get juvenile comments out of here.
Now I can't ask a question without being juvenile.
We're going regal, actually.
We're going regal. I'm running. So people are saying the cops are corrupt. That's why I don't trust the investigation, yada, yada, yada. Well, this goes beyond Moscow PD. This goes into the FBI and beyond. The state police, not all these people are going to be like, yes, let's frame this Bryan Kohberger guy.
I mean, that is crazy.
That just makes him way too important, in my opinion. And they're giving him way too much importance.
Yeah.
Joe says, why do you call my comments yapping? Because when you say the same thing over and over, it's yapping. It's no longer commenting. Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
So anyway, yeah, so BTK, he's got some new victims. It's just crazy.
I know.
Huerman's going to be having more victims.
Yeah. Like you guys said earlier, the Las Vegas, ooh, that's going to be tough. There's going to be lots and lots.
I agree.
For sure.
Yeah, he's the most unlucky guy if that's the case. That's what Jammer said.
Yeah.
Mike C said, yeah, Bryan just happened to be there at 4 a.m. and 9:12 a.m. Perfect for the frame job.
Just driving around.
He's known to just drive around at night. But he can't say exactly where he drove, I guess.
That's weird.
Maiden Nut, I just want you to know that you are not a troll in my chat. We don't consider you a troll. The Bandfield cops were not very professional, says Echo. I don't know what those cops were. I don't know who those people even were because they were in. That's one thing. Let's talk about that for a second because I called Chief Lanier or whatever, Captain Lanier, whatever his name is. Captain. I think he is a captain. No. Yeah. Anyways, Chief Fry, Captain Lanier, I think is what it is. So anyways, on the Bandfield thing where those kids are getting their citations or whatever, that car is a Focus, like a Ford Focus that's silver. Definitely a Ford. You can see it on the steering wheel. So I'm like, what the heck? And then those guys joked around. They're like, oh, yeah, they gave us hybrids to save on gas. Well, because they were like, is that your guys' car over there? It was like really weird. And he's like, yeah, they gave us hybrids. So I called and asked Lanier about their fleet of vehicles. And I said, do you have unmarked vehicles that are hybrids? And you know what he told me? He said no. He said all their hybrids are marked police vehicles. So I'm like, who the fuck was that? In the silver Focus. That. So then I went further and I asked him, and then he said the only hybrid vehicle we have that's unmarked is a little smart car for tickets. For parking tickets and stuff. So I don't know if that little silver car was the unmarked. Because he said it was a little smart car, and I don't consider that a Ford Focus to be a little smart car. I picture those to be like the little Mr. Bean, like electric cars.
Yeah, the little, yep.
But I could be wrong. Maybe it is that Focus, but he said they only had that one vehicle that's unmarked and is a hybrid.
Yeah, I remember that.
What? Black Eagle, Joe, do you have a Chihuahua? You're channeling it. Oh, I thought she said Jay. And I'm like, how am I channeling a Chihuahua?
Oh, my God.
Teresa. They gave them electric hybrids because they get... No, he told me they didn't. He said that every hybrid police car is marked. They're not unmarked. So... Anyway,
yeah.
Does anybody else want to call in today? If not, I'm going to end this. We have a premiere at 3. This one's really good. This is about the SWAT, and you're going to die. You're going to die. They couldn't get past the gate of Bryan's neighborhood at first. They had all these SWAT guys in these vans, and no one had the fucking code. You can't make it up. You can't make it up. They went in for this big operation and there they were at the gate and no one could get in. Wait till you hear how they got in. You can't make this up. I mean, I guess we're seeing more transparency of what really happens in these investigations. It's not always seamless.
That is amazing.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, 3 p.m. today, I'm going to be premiering that one. And then the next one is all part 3 together. I didn't break it up into parts. I got to be good.
I love those.
Yeah. So thank you for calling in. Thank you, Eddie, for calling in. Everybody, thanks for watching. And we'll keep our eyes on this. I don't know how much movement we're going to have anytime soon, but I think September 1st, there's another hearing. So I don't know.
boy.
What is this going to do for the case, though? Punani, is this going to make the speculation grow, or is it going to make everybody move on to something else?
I don't know. I feel like maybe it'll make everybody like move on to something else because they have nothing. You know what I mean?
What are they going to talk about when there's nothing being released?
They're
Right?
gonna they have to pull something out of their butt because you know what I mean? The only thing they're like, oh, he was driving around. Like, I feel like they're just gonna try to find something.
Yeah, I don't think
because they don't have anything.
I don't think the live streams of the theories and speculations are going to end. I mean, when you got people going live every day with 500-600 people in there, I don't think they're going to stop.
That's true.
I don't think they're going to stop because it's all about the money, money, money. You know, once you start, once you start hitting that sweet spot on YouTube, people get a little greedy sometimes.
They're relentless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's you got to be careful. Watch out for who you're watching and why they're there. So, all right. Well, dear, it was. Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you a lot, and I'm so glad you called in. It was great to hear your voice. You know I love you, girl.
I love you too.
All right. Well, you have a good rest of your Thursday. Tomorrow, my middle son turns 25. I can't believe it. 25th. I know. 25th, and he's 25.
That's awesome. Yeah, I call you my YouTube mom because I'm going to be 28. I'll be turning 28.
You're going to be 28?
Yeah.
Punani, you're a baby. I had no idea you were just a baby. Oh, I love you. I love you even more now. Like you're going to be under my wing. I had no idea.
That's why I say, anytime anybody comes at you, I'm like, do not talk bad about my YouTube mom.
Oh my God, Punani, you're the same age as my oldest son. How cute is that? You are adorable. I love you. Aw. Jammers just said, she's so young.
I know. I feel like I'm the youngest one in there.
Aw, you're not, though. We love you. Aw, you're so cute now. I just love it. All of us moms just love you. We just want to mother you.
Aww.
We want to make you our own.
Awesome.
Well, you are officially adopted here at J is for Justice, Punani.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.
All righty. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
All right. Bye, hon.
Bye.
She is so cute. I just love her. Now I feel like I shouldn't even play that for her anymore. I feel like I'm blushing because I've been playing this soundbite for my daughter.
Niggas wife me once they get that good punani.
I would never play that for my daughter, Punani. Please forgive me. I'm sweating. She's adorable. All right, you guys, on that note, thank you for calling in. Thank you, Eddie. I respect you, Eddie. Don't ever go anywhere and don't ever change. You are entitled to your opinions and your beliefs, and you bring them across respectfully, and nobody can ask for more than that, especially in this crazy YouTube world. So I want to give you guys 3 o'clock again today. I'll see you guys in the chat there. I'll be chatting. And like this video if you do, and subscribe for more. I will see you guys in the next live. Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists for more true crime content. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon. Don't have a tinfoil hat? It's okay. We'll make you one. It's that easy. See you guys in the next video.
See you later. Bye.
Okay, do you want me to come out? Because they told me not to come to your car.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn.
Oops. Everybody does that. Don't go to the car.
You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. Can't stop addicted to the shindig. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs.
Bye, Jennifer.
I new shoes, hanging by the pool, sipping on Coke and Jack. Calling my phone when you feel alone.
So I had a hot mic. Fight me.
Sorry.
Everybody does.
Everybody does that.